60 minutes into the 2026 Carabao Cup Final, Wembley Stadium felt like a pressure cooker. Manchester City and Arsenal were locked in a physical stalemate, with neither side willing to expose a single structural weakness. Then, the deadlock broke in a single catastrophic error. A looping cross from Rayan Cherki slips right through the hands of Arsenal goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga. The loose ball falls directly to the far post, where Nico loads it into an empty net. Before Arsenal could regroup, the pressure doubled. Just 4 minutes later, Matheus Nunes floated another cross into the box. O'Reilly, completely unmarked for the second time, converted another header to move City 2 goals clear. This data comparison chart shows the scale of the collapse. Coming into Wembley, Arsenal were favourites hunting an unprecedented quadruple, backed by a 9-point gap at the top of the Premier League. For the first 15 minutes of this match, Arsenal's press completely choked Manchester City. They dictated the tempo and controlled the territory. So how did a team that looked so dominant unravel so quickly in the second half? Modern cup finals are rarely decided by a team's season-long form. They are won and lost in tiny windows of intense tactical and psychological pressure, micro-moments that expose structural flaws a long league campaign usually hides. Arsenal actually executed their game plan perfectly at the opening whistle. They created an immediate storm of chances, and Manchester City only survived because their deputy goalkeeper, James Trafford, pulled off a critical early triple save against Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka. But Pep Guardiola did not panic. Instead of abandoning his philosophy, he used the halftime break to implement a precise spatial adjustment designed to neutralize Arsenal's choking midfield press. This 3D pitch graphic illustrates that adjustment. City began aggressively attacking the flanks, positioning Jeremy Doku and Rayan Cherki at the maximum width of the touchlines to stretch the pitch horizontally and pin Arsenal back. By zooming in on the edges here, we can see exactly who Guardiola was targeting. Arsenal were playing with deputies Ben White and Piero Hincapié at fullback. City applied constant numerical pressure to these specific wide areas, forcing the entire Arsenal defensive block to crack under the lateral strain. Guardiola absorbed the early onslaught, identified the friction points, and systematically dismantled Arsenal's defensive foundation by manipulating the physical dimensions of the pitch. Nico O'Reilly acted as the primary tactical trigger for Guardiola's trap. He moved as the designed focal point for an offensive transition that exploited those wide overloads. This vector graphic maps out the mechanics of O'Reilly's movement. He makes late, bursting runs from deep in the midfield. This specific timing is engineered to bypass the opponent's defensive midfield anchor, the player whose sole job is to screen the space sitting just in front of the center-backs. Because City's wide overloads were so relentless, Arsenal's center-backs, William Saliba and Gabriel, were repeatedly dragged outward to help their struggling fullbacks. As you can see, that horizontal shift creates a massive, undefended void right at the far post. That exact tactical manipulation is why O'Reilly was standing entirely alone for both of his headers. The defense was pulled apart, the screen was bypassed, and the space was left wide open. Breakout performances on this stage are rarely accidents. They are the fatal execution of tactical traps, carefully designed to punish an opponent for overcommitting their resources. But tactics only explain the physical movements on the pitch. To understand the collapse, we have to look at the psychological clash between the managers in the dugouts. Before the match even started, Mikel Arteta made a high-risk choice. He benched his elite first-choice goalkeeper, David Raya, in favor of Kepa Arrizabalaga. The reasoning was driven by sentiment. Kepa had played the earlier cup rounds, so he was given the start as a reward. This data layout contrasts their season-long reliability metrics, revealing the risk inherent in that swap. An attempt at fairness in the locker room directly conflicted with the requirements of facing an elite opponent in a major final. Kepa's fumble represents the physical manifestation of a calculated risk that failed. By swapping his most reliable starter for a backup with lower efficiency metrics, Arteta introduced a point of failure that City immediately targeted. In winner-takes-all scenarios, sentimentality is a vulnerability. Experienced champions will ruthlessly identify that softness and exploit it. The final whistle secured a historic outcome for Pep Guardiola. He claimed his 5th League Cup, adding to an astounding 18 total trophies during his tenure at Manchester City. For Arsenal, the reality is devastating. Mikel Arteta has built a league-dominating machine, yet they still have not secured a single cup final victory since 2020. The two sides meet again on April 19th in a Premier League clash at the Etihad. Arteta claims his squad will use this painful defeat as fuel for that exact matchup. Arsenal have the consistency to lead a league table for months, but in the compressed pressure of a 90-minute final, City still possess a clinical edge that the current Gunner side has yet to replicate.